Hey, what's going on, everybody? Matt here with OddsJam, and in this video, I'm going to be giving a little bit of an updated betting preview for the conference championship games this weekend. I recorded a betting preview on Monday. Obviously, some stuff has changed since then. Mostly the odds have changed since then. So I'm going to be going through the odds of both of the games, looking to see if there's any value on any mainline bets. Obviously, I've kind of come out with a ton of different player props and DFS plays. So if you're interested in those, definitely make sure to check out the OddsJam YouTube channel for that. For this one, I just want to look at the updated lines because obviously they shift as the week goes on. Some injury news has come out for both games as well. So I think it's important to basically have an updated betting preview. The matchups and stuff are all the same, but the injury news is obviously very important, as well as the lines shifting. So we'll start off with the Eagles versus 49ers game. So kind of interesting here, the spread and the money line opened up with the Eagles as slight favorites. When the lines first opened, the Eagles were like 1 or 1.5 point favorites. And I was able to get their money line at minus 125 odds. As soon as the lines opened, I found a really good price, on the Eagles minus 125, and I hit that. That worked out in my favor. As you look at the odds now, and I'm recording this on Friday, the 27th, obviously, of January, the Eagles are much heavier favorites now than they were then, which means that money has been coming in on the Eagles. Now, I will say, when the lines initially opened up at about 1 or 1.5, it didn't take long for them to shift to be where they are now between 2.5 and 3. You can get 49ers plus 3 at one book. So the lines haven't shifted a lot over the course of the week. They just had a very dramatic shift at the beginning. So right now, there's really no value on the money line. You can get plus 30 at a decent amount of books on the 49ers money line. The Eagles, the best odds you can get are minus 145. But if you look at the sharp books, BetOnline, Bookmaker, and Pinnacle, really no value there. Where there is a little bit of value, and as you can tell, I am an Eagles fan, so this one hurts me, but the 49ers plus 3, granted, you have to get it at minus 120 odds, so you have to pay a little bit of juice. That's actually a pretty good price. Legitimately, every single book has it at 2.5, except for Bet Rivers, which is giving it to you at plus 3. Now, for those of you, obviously, that know how scoring works in the NFL, that's a very, very big half point. The Eagles win by exactly a field goal. You at least push your plus 3, and you lose your plus 2.5. So that 3 points is obviously a huge deal. 3 points is one of the most common margins of victory in the NFL because of that reason. Now, when I'm looking at the matchup, these teams are about as evenly matched as it gets, except at quarterback. And sometimes it really is as simple as that. Now, Purdy has been significantly better than anybody could have expected him to play. I will say, against the Cowboys, the game he played last week was the shakiest he had looked all year. Now, he made some good plays. He had a really, really good throw to Juwan Jennings at the end of the first half. Obviously, that unscripted play to Kittle was incredible, kind of likely, but incredible. Purdy, he's better under pressure than Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's better extending a play than Jimmy Garoppolo is. So I do think that Purdy is almost better for this 49ers offense than Garoppolo is. He seems to, at this point in his career, have significantly less stinkers than Garoppolo. It's really hard to compare him obviously to Jalen Hurts, though. That's an MVP candidate on one end. And even as good as he is, even if he was a first overall pick, he's still a rookie, and rookie quarterbacks have played in a championship game 4 times and have never won. What I will say is, when it comes to the infrastructure around a quarterback, it probably can't get any better than what he has in San Francisco. He struggled last week. He was able to get the win because their defense is incredible and only gave up 12 points. Offensive line is very good. Skill positions are very good. And Shanahan just designs such an easy offense for the quarterback. And I will say, in terms of specific matchup advantages, the Eagles defense, really strong up front. They might have the edge over the 49ers when it comes to Eagles defensive line versus 49ers offensive line, but it could go both ways. The Eagles are very, very good at their outside cornerbacks with Slay and Bradbury. The Eagles are weak in the middle of the field. That's where Purdy and Shanahan love to attack. So the big matchup here on the Eagles defense versus 49ers offense is going to be, are the Eagles able to take away the middle of the field option for Purdy? If not, then the Eagles defense could struggle more than people are expecting. I think people are expecting this to be somewhat of a defensive slugfest because as good as the Eagles offense has been, I mean, the 49ers have the best defense in the entire NFL. They gave up over 30 points twice, and it was to the Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs have the best offense in the NFL in a random game against the Raiders in Jared Stidham's first start. That one we can obviously count as an outlier. So for two teams that are as evenly matched as these two are, getting 3 points on the 49ers side, I think, to me, represents the best value. And if you just look at the numbers, it represents the best value as well. That half point, I cannot stress enough how big that half point is. So in terms of the over-under, I mentioned that people are expecting this to be more of a defensive slugfest than I expect it to be. Well, you can get a really good price on the over 46. Caesars has it at 46. Legitimately every other sportsbook, it's the same logic here, has it at 46.5. They have the over-under at 46.5, including Sharpbooks, Bookmaker, BetOnline, and Pinnacle. Well, that half point with lines as tight as these are, right? I mean, the NFL in general has the tightest lines because of how much action it gets. The NFL playoffs is even more, has even more action, even more tighter lines. So the fact that we can get this half point advantage both with the spread and the total, I think personally are two good bets. So I recommend taking the Caesars over 46 as well as the 49ers plus 3. So Caesars over 46 minus 110 odds, 49ers plus 3 minus 120 odds. That is it for the Eagles versus 49ers. In terms of injury news, which I mentioned, there's been a lot of talk about Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell not practicing. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're just being as precautionary as possible. I mean, in reality, you don't really need them to practice that much. They're going to be fine. On the Eagles side, they're looking to get possibly to get their starting slot cornerback, Avonte Maddox, back for this game. He's missed about a month with a turf toe injury. That would obviously be huge because that would help with the middle of the field. So that is a point in the Eagles' favor, just to talk about injury news. In terms of Bengals Chiefs, obviously all eyes are on Patrick Mahomes' ankle. Now he's practiced fully as the week has gone on. People have seen him walk pretty much without a hitch. So the spread movement in this one has been incredibly interesting to me. So the spread opened up, the Chiefs were favored. Slight favorites at about 1 or 1.5. As the money came in, money started favoring the Bengals. And at one point, the Bengals were the favorite. They were the favorite outcome. At some points, I think you can get them all the way up to 2.5, the Bengals as the favorite outcome. Now, as the week has gone on and people have seen Mahomes practice without any issues, they've seen Mahomes walk without any issues, money is starting to come back in on the Chiefs. And there is a little bit of value on the Chiefs money line at minus 120. Bookmaker has it at minus 125. BetOnline has it at minus 127. And Pinnacle has it also at minus 125. So this minus 120 is not a bad price when you compare it to the sharp sportsbooks. Looking at the spread is kind of split between Chiefs minus 1 and minus 1.5. Now, Pinnacle and Bookmaker have it at Chiefs minus 1, but they're juicing it towards the Chiefs at this number, whereas BetOnline has it at minus 1.5, and they have it at minus 110 odds each way. Now, a lot has been made about the Bengals calling Arrowhead Burrowhead. The Chiefs have now lost three, not now, but the Chiefs have lost 3 straight to the Bengals. To me, I still, even despite Patrick Mahomes walking normally and practicing, I have a hard time believing that he is going to be fully healthy and that he is going to be playing without any limits in this game. So I actually lean towards the Bengals on this one. The money has shifted against me as the week has gone on, but I lean towards the Bengals. And the fact that, 2 of the 3 books have it at the spread at -1, and then BetOnline has it at -110, or excuse me, -1.5, you can get a decent price on the Bengals +1.5 at -105 odds. So that is where I'm leaning on this one. The Bengals defense doesn't get enough credit because they don't really have the name brands that the higher end, like there's no Micah Parsons, there's no Nick Bosa, there's no Hassan Reddick. But they're incredibly well coached, and they've consistently given issues to Patrick Mahomes. In the NFC or the championship game last year, the Chiefs were pretty much shut out in the second half. The same thing happened in their first matchup last year. Chiefs got out to a big lead, pretty much shut out in the second half. And look at what the Bengals defense did to Josh Allen last week in the Bills offense. They scored 10 points. So I think with Mahomes being banged up, I don't think he's going to be able to scramble and leave the pocket and create second chance plays as often as he does. And I just think the Bengals are such a well-coached defense that they'll be able to take away his initial option and force him to try and do that kind of stuff. But physically, he might not be able to. Then on the other side of the ball, I mean, there's not really much anybody else that you would trust more with the ball in their hands late in the game than Joe Burrow. He's been phenomenal. And this Bengals team, despite going to the Super Bowl last year, significantly better. They're a significantly better team this year. In terms of any types of advanced analytics, they're significantly better this year. They're like 5th in DVOA this year. They were in the teens last year. They've won 10 straight up until this point. So they're also one of the hottest teams in football. So I like the Bengals +1.5 at -105 odds at FanDuel. Looking at the total, it's pretty much spread between 47.5 and 48, with Pinnacle having it at 47.5, but pretty heavily juicing it towards the over. And then BetOnline and Bookmaker having it at 48. Now, if you remove the VIG, that puts the Pinnacle line at -110. So the fact that you can get the WinBet line at -108 is actually a good price and actually is positive expected value. So I do like the over in this game as well. So I like the over, I guess in both games. I like the underdogs and I like the over. In this case, we are getting a positive expected value play with Pinnacle having their true line of this at -110, and WinBet, because they're charging a little bit less juice than every other book, that creates this to be a positive EV play over 47.5 at -108 odds. If they had standard juice of -110, it would be neutral value, wouldn't be positive. So I do like the over in this game as well. So like I said, both games give me the underdog, both games give me the over, and that is my logic why. If you have any questions or are tailing these bets or anything like that, comment in the video and let me know. Other than that, you can find me on social media at Jedi Modi, where I will probably be posting a ton of stuff about this game, on Pickett at OddsJam_Matt, which is very betting specific. And that's it. So appreciate everybody watching and have a good one.